Oh my goodness. Make sure you eat your Wheaties. It's kind of in place. I'll just gently lower it down. You'll see the threads, all kinds of stuff in the way. Alright, so I got the engine back down. Now I just gotta thread the bolt on. Hand tight. Good. Since this had some thread locker on it before, I'm gonna put some thread locker on it now. Coated nice and good. Basically, you just work this in until it gets snug. Snug everything, and then you come back and then you torque it all down. Torque these down to 45 foot-pounds. I had taken care of and torqued the bolt on the underside. Now I'm just taking care of this one. Can't really get my torque wrench in here, so the best that we're gonna do is hand tight. Got the heat shield installed. What's next? I think next is putting the alternator back in. Battery's running low, so gonna cut these next little bits short. Alright, so I got the alternator back in. I haven't put the belt back on it. Where is it? There. But that process isn't going to be too difficult. You can see that it's kind of come off of the pulley system. It's pretty straightforward. It goes over the water pump, underneath the idler, and then over the alternator itself. And probably has a few more spots that it might have come loose, but it's pretty straightforward. Get the belt back on. Just get your breaker bar in place, whatever stuff you've got out of the way. So kind of goes like this. Now I gotta get my breaker bar, and then all you do with your breaker bar is you pull really hard to the right on the tensioner. There we go. It's really tight. Really hard to turn that. Examine, make sure that you've got everything in the right spot. We're all in the grooves. And you just gotta work on getting this clip just taking a look over everything once more. Gonna get this back on. Let's see the catch can. It's sturdy. This is back in place. Pulley. Alternator's all buttoned up. I think all I need to do is just put my intake in. And that's pretty easy and straightforward. So then you just get it wiggled in there. just buttoned everything up over here. Last thing to do, you gotta connect the negative terminal on your battery. Let's go do that. So what you're looking at here is the floor in which where the battery is hidden under. I'm sitting here working on it, tightening everything down, and I'm having a great conversation with you all, y'all, yins, wherever you're from. I forgot to hit the record button. So at any rate, pretty straightforward though. All you gotta do is just connect your negative battery terminal, tighten it down with a 10 mil. That's it. So that is how you replace your engine mount. I might suggest the creeper. That seems to be very helpful. Well, I got stuck in a pickle, so I used some chains to help yank the jack out from underneath. I'm not going to go into much detail other than the jack got stuck underneath the Jeep. Let's just put it this way. Don't be surprised because it's Steve turning wrenches. Gets a little squirrely here. This right here is the dead engine mount. Let's get some light here. As you can see, it's all gummy, gross, all cracked. So all those cracks right there, that's fatigue. The rubber on the underside from getting pressed and lifted over and over and over again. I mean, I've got 105,000 miles on it. This has probably been going cracked for, I'm guessing, probably maybe 10,000 miles. You want to look at these things, look underneath like I showed you earlier in the video. As far as the rest of the job, just basic wrenches, basic tools, pretty much breaker bar. You're gonna need one of those. Multi-purpose extensions. If you got some open-end wrenches, especially the ones with the little ratcheting ends, that's handy. Especially if you've got one of these little these things here. This is great. Really spins things off quick. These things are great. Get one of those. Flashlights. Obviously, it's now late in the day. You can tell it's dark out. It's taken me a couple hours to do this. This job was all myself. On the ground, not in the shop. And they all got specialty tools. I did it myself. So if I can do it myself, you can do it yourself. So make sure you got plenty of flashlights. I like this one. It's probably like $25. Got it at Harbor Freight. What's nice is it's got bright, not as bright, and then it's got a little pointy bit at the end so you can aim it. It's also magnetic. Invest in that. I've got these overhead lights, dim, bright, and then off. These are pretty sweet. Definitely get yourself one of those. Again, this is Harbor Freight. This was, I think they go for like 25, maybe $35 normally. Occasionally those will have a coupon, but you can apply the 20%ers. Again, this is another little Harbor Freight one. Pry bar, little stool, and just a bunch of extensions. Get some extensions. I use this open end. It's literally just a pass through. I've used this in a couple scenarios tonight. Worked out pretty well. Get yourself one of those. I mean, at this point, the job's done. All I gotta do is just remove the jack stands from underneath, and then I can go inside, take a shower, and then be proud that I did this job. It took a day, the better part of a day. I didn't pay a stealership to do it. You know what they want to do? I was looking at the service manual for this. What they want to do for this job is they want to take off the entire intake manifold. This whole thing. The whole thing. Take it off. And it makes sense because the proper way to lift the motor is not using jacks from the underside. It's by actually lifting it up with a hoist. And so they recommend taking this off, and then they have a bracket that spans from side to side, and it's literally just like a piece of steel. It has a part number. I don't care. So it goes straight across, and then there's a little hoist linkage that goes from a mounting point, which is underneath the intake manifold. So you take the intake manifold off, that exposes the hoist points. I think there's actually a bracket that you need to install, but that bracket goes on, and then it can hoist up. That would save a lot of headaches, although you introduce a whole new set of headaches because you have to take this thing off. Anyways, doing it the backwoods, the DIY, shade tree mechanic style. You just lift it from the underneath, and that's what I did. So I recommend anyone who has basic knowledge of turning wrenches, give it a shot. I showed you most of the work here today, not too difficult. Just time consuming. Make sure that you got all the right tools. Don't be discouraged. I started getting a little bit frustrated with refascinating the alternator. Just keep going. Try not to let little silly things get to you. Basically, it was just sticky bolts because the aluminum is oxidized, and then you're trying to thread the bolt and it was getting tight, and I lost my battery on my overhead light. Just try not to get discouraged. If it's not working, maybe take a deep breath, give it another shot. I know for me that seems to work pretty well. I also like to try to avoid distractions, but at any rate, that's the job. Yeah, my overhead light is completely dead. So that's it. I hope you liked the video, and maybe I'll have another DIY thing later in the future. Until then, later.